Hello everyone and welcome back to Foot Forecast, and today's video I'm going through my championship roundup. Unfortunately in the roundup I won't be able to include the South Coast Derby and Norwich Coventry because this is being recorded before those games. But anyway, starting off with Middlesbrough at home to Preston North End, and this was a dominant win for Borough. They were brilliant in this game. And look, Preston actually started off quite well in this game. Matty Targett was probably lucky not to have conceded a penalty. He didn't know a lot about it, but it definitely hit his hand. But after this, Middlesbrough were largely dominant in this game. Alan Brown scoring the first goal for Borough from midfield. He spent quite a bit of time at fullback this season, but he was in midfield for today's game, and it was a good finish off his left foot. Alan Brown just shrugged off Jamal Lewis, and it was poor defending from him. And from there, Middlesbrough dominated the game. Tommy Conway scored 2 goals for Middlesbrough today, both open play. He has struggled to score open play goals this season, and in his last game he did manage to get one, but before that he hadn't scored an open play goal since August. On the 4th goal he scored, it's poor keeping by Walton, parrying the free kick right to him. And overall, where Middlesbrough made mistakes today was playing out from the back. That is how Whittaker scored the 3rd goal for Middlesbrough in today's game. And they did this multiple times. They were lucky to get away with it once, and then it also resulted in Storey being sent off for Preston when they were 3-0 down. And from there, it was always going to be an uphill battle for Preston. And they were actually probably lucky to not go down to 9. Hayden Hackney was absolutely brilliant for Borough in today's game, and as usual instrumental in why Borough managed to win the game. Borough's defence was excellent as well, and that was unlike Preston's defence, who are an absolute shamble. In terms of what this means going forward, well, for Preston that is 3 losses in a row, and now they're 9th place in the championship. If they just won one of those games, they would still be in the top 6. For Middlesbrough, they are still 2nd in the championship, but they have extended their lead on Ipswich Town in 3rd place, and that is because Ipswich Town lost to Sheffield United away from home. An absolutely massive result for Sheffield United, winning 3-1 in this game. Both teams had some major players out for this game. Sheffield United had Tanganga and Bindon out, as well as Samare. Tanganga and Samare because of suspension, Bindon because he is still ill. The 2 key injuries though were Tanganga and Bindon, the 2 starting centre-halves of Sheffield United. McGuinness played reasonably well in this game. He did give away a penalty, but overall he played well in this game. Jack Clark was a bit lucky to actually convert that penalty. He almost missed it. Ben Mee made an early mistake in the game, and it puts Ipswich through on goal, but they missed that chance. But overall, he also played well, and the 2 centre-halves stepped up today when they needed to for Sheffield United. For Ipswich, they were without Philogene and Nunes, 2 key players for Ipswich, as well as Chuba Akpom. Some standout performances in today's game was Callum O'Hare. He was the best player, I think, on the pitch in today's him or Gus Hamer. Callum O'Hare scored the 1st goal of the game, chipping Walton, and there was a lot of chances in that first half, but neither side could take them until Callum O'Hare eventually did. It was a brilliant assist by Gus Hamer, and he did it a 2nd time when he assisted Bamford for the 3rd goal. It's good to see Gus Hamer back in the starting 11 and playing well, because he's struggled so far this season with injuries, and finding a starting spot for him in the side, despite being such a talented player, is Gus Hamer. It was a good finish from Bamford in at the near post past Christian Walton. I think Walton, though, will still be disappointed with this. He would have expected to save that. When a shot's at the near post, you do expect, I think, a keeper to do better than what Christian Walton did for that shot. And Bamford actually got sent off after this for diving. I agree, it's definitely not a penalty, but I don't know if Bamford actually claims for the penalty. He actually goes down and then he almost gets up immediately. He never puts his hand up sort of asking for it. So I don't know if he should have been sent off, because he never actually wanted the penalty in the first place, so you can't claim he was actually diving and looking for it. And this will cause Chris Wilder a couple of selection issues for the next game, because Bamford's been really good for Sheffield United since he signed. Andre Brooks was the other goal scorer for Sheffield United, and it was from a deflected shot from outside the box. In my opinion, Kieran McKenna got it wrong in today's game, and I think he's a top manager. But Aslan should have started over Hurst. Hurst was awful in today's game, and also Egley and Greaves were really poor for Ipswich. And this is the problem with Ipswich right now. As soon as they have a bit of adversity, they have struggled this season, and I still think Ipswich are going to go up. I'm not so sure now if it will be in the automatics, because I think they're a top side. They've got a top squad, and just when it started to look like Ipswich are about to fly at the table and they could potentially even win the championship, they've once again faltered in a game that you would have expected them to win against Sheffield United. Looking at the table for both sides, that's a massive 3 points for Sheffield United after losing their last two away from home to Charlton and to Southampton. They needed a win today's game, and they got that win. Could they still finish in the playoffs? Potentially. It does look unlikely. They are 9 points behind Wrexham, who are in 6th place. For Ipswich, this is a massive loss for them. They are now 5 points behind Middlesbrough with a game in hand. It's definitely still possible, but it's an incredibly frustrating result considering the form that Ipswich were on going into this game. So then we're on to the next game between Hull and Swansea. And looking at some of the talking points in this game, McBurney scoring against his former club. It was a stonewall penalty. I have no idea what the Swansea defender's doing in that situation. Victories had one of the worst misses of this season, and shortly after had another massive chance. This is surprising considering he's the championship top goal scorer. And this is surprising considering he's the championship top goal scorer. But this is some of the luck that Hull City have had so far this season. It was two great crosses from Josh Tymon from the left-hand side, but Victories couldn't put it in the back of their net, and Swansea were punished for their missed opportunities, and it was a great strike by Slater outside the box, and Hull was so threatening on the counter-attack in that first half, despite having only 38% of the ball. But that's what Hull are like. They're absolutely electrifying to watch. They're one of the best sides to watch in the championship. In the second half, Swansea were a lot more dangerous, and that Hull had only 23% of the ball. And this isn't surprising considering they averaged the 4th lowest position in the championship, but you would have expected them to have a bit more of the ball than that. The Hull defence did well to keep them out, but Swansea did manage to get a goal back through Cullen once again, a delivery by Josh Tymon, this time from the corner. But it wasn't enough, and the Hull defence did manage to hold on despite having so little of the ball in the second half. And Igor Panda was brilliant for Hull City, especially in that second half, made some big saves. And that's a massive win for Hull City. That's 4 wins from a possible 5. They're now 4th place in the championship, and maybe they could even have a go at the automatics. They're level on points of Ipswich and only 5 points behind Middlesbrough and have a game in hand. And they're doing so well this season considering all the embargoes that have been placed on Hull City. In terms of what this means for Swansea, Swansea are 16th place in the championship, and away form continues to be a major problem for Swansea. They sit 20th place on the away table, and they need to turn that around if they want to have a good finish in the championship. There's still a bit of concerns probably around relegation. They are only 7 points clear of the drop, and Portsmouth are in 22nd, have quite a few games in hand. But I'm not too worried for Swansea because they've got a striker that can put the ball in the back of the net. He failed to do that in today's game, but we've seen so far this season he can. He is the championship top goal scorer, and I think they're better than the sides around them. So then we've got the South London derby, which was between Millwall and Charlton, and it was a derby demolition from Millwall against Charlton, and they were the well-deserved winners in this game, and they created so many chances, and 4-0 wasn't a lucky result for Millwall. If anything, it should have been more. It could have been 6, it could have been 7 goals, it could have been 8 goals. That's how much better Millwall were in this game. And I mean, Charlton were awful throughout, and I've been thinking this was going to happen at some point. They're going to get battered by a side because they've been poor in their last couple of games. They were poor against Sheffield United despite winning 1-0 because Sheffield United went down to 9 men. In that first half, they deserved to be 4-0 down in my opinion. And in the game they played against Derby, they should have also been 3 or 4 goals down, I think, at half-time. And this could have actually happened against Millwall, but Charlton did alright to actually only be 1-0 down at half-time. Aziz was absolutely brilliant in this game. He was the best player on the pitch by an absolute mile. The first goal they conceded is absolutely shocking. It was a really good delivery, actually, from the Millwall player, but it's a muck-up at the back from Kaminsky and Ramsey, who eventually puts the ball in the back of his own net. And Millwall had chance after chance. And Josh Coban, if that wasn't the miss of the season I just discussed before, this would definitely be up there. That was a massive opportunity after a brilliant piece of work by Aziz, dribbling past his man, dribbling basically the whole length of the field, and then a brilliant ball into the box. But Josh Coban missed the chance, and I can't believe he actually missed that shot. It should have definitely gone into the back of the net, but Taylor did find the goal in the second half to basically confirm the Millwall win. There was still a chance potentially of a Charlton smash and grab. It was a great delivery from Doughty for that Taylor goal. And Aziz then won a penalty for Millwall, and the penalty was missed by Millwall, but eventually ended up in the back of the net, Kundal putting it in, and then Amenko finished it off for Millwall to give them a 4-0 win, and that was absolutely deserved. A brilliant performance from Millwall, and they are a very good side right now in the Championship, and I definitely think they will finish in the playoffs this season. There's a gap actually starting to appear between 5th and 6th. Millwall are 5 points ahead of Wrexham, who are in 6th place, and Millwall are in 5th place. So there's starting to be a bit of a gap. I think Millwall will definitely finish in the playoffs by the end of the season. I think they're a great side, and I wouldn't want to travel to the Den for a playoff tie. For Charlton, I think Charlton could get themselves into trouble, because I've watched them now 3 or 4 games in a row, and they've just been absolutely battered by whoever they play, at least in one half of the football. They're sometimes alright in another half, but overall I'm just not convinced by Charlton whenever I watch them. I still think Nathan Jones might just have enough to keep them in the Championship. I think they'll finish somewhere around 20th or 21st, but I wouldn't be surprised if they drop down to 22nd in the Championship. Just looking at Millwall and Charlton's form, Millwall have taken 10 points from a possible 15. If you consider the injury problems they've had, that's so impressive, and that is definitely playoff form. For Charlton, they've taken 5 points from in their last 5, but I think that form is very generous. I think we're more looking at 2 points, because they should have lost to Sheffield United, and they only got anything from that game because of the red cards. The next game I am going to discuss is QPR Wrexham, and as I've already said, Wrexham are 6th place in the Championship now. They're in the playoffs, but it was QPR who started the better in this game, and QPR actually were the way better side in the first half. Harvey Vale with a brilliant volley to give QPR the lead in this game. It was actually a good initial save though from Okonkwo after the Dembele shot, and QPR were the way better side in this first half, as I just said. Wrexham didn't have a shot, but Wrexham started better in the second half, and they were rewarded with an equaliser through Callum Doyle, scored a good goal, the overlapping centre half. QPR then went in front in this game through Cook. It was a good delivery from Madsen, who actually played really well throughout in this game. Then just into the final moments of the game, and Mbege was sent off for QPR after a definite second yellow. It was a poor challenge actually, and it was very stupid, because after that Wrexham started to take control of this game, and Wrexham were brilliant after QPR went for down for 10 men for that sort of 4 minutes, and Windass eventually found the equaliser. QPR just couldn't deal with that pressure, and they somehow found a winner, did Wrexham, through Ollie Rathburn, an unbelievable strike to give Wrexham the 3-2 win, and what a win that is for Wrexham, and no one really saw that coming after watching the first half. Going into the 90th minute, it looked like if Wrexham could get a point, that'd be a very good point for them, but they've somehow found a way to win it, and now, as I said, they are 6th place in the Championship, and they are in the playoffs. I think Wrexham have the potential to go up this season. I've been consistent on this, especially considering it now looks like they're going to buy heavily in January. They could potentially purchase Siddiqui Sharif, which I think would be a good signing for them, a talented young striker. He's a big striker, he can hold up the ball up front for them, and he can link up play well. And if someone like Crystal Palace is also interested, and if Wrexham manages to get him, that just shows the pull of Wrexham right now. It would be a massive deal, about £19 million. And I mean, looking at the result, this is a massive win for Wrexham if you're considering that they dropped points at home to Watford and Leicester. 2 disappointing results, especially that Leicester result, considering the fact they dominated most of that game against a poor Leicester side right now. For QPR, they'll be frustrated with this. They are 12th place in the Championship. They are 4 points off Wrexham now. If QPR win that game, they actually go ahead of Wrexham in the table, and they've now not picked up a win in 3 games, 2 draws and a loss for QPR. So then we've got Bristol City at home to Sheffield Wednesday, and once again Wednesday failed to score. Again, not much of a surprise if you consider all the problems Wednesday have, and it was Barry Bannon's last game. A sad day for those Wednesday fans who adore him, and he's played over 400 games for the club, an absolute club legend, there's no doubt about this. And Bristol City dominated the game. It took them a while to get that first goal. Murphy Cooper actually made some good saves, I thought, throughout in this game, but it was Scott Twine that headed into the back of net to give Bristol City the 1-0 lead after a Macaroni cross, and the second goal came from Armstrong getting in behind. Murphy Cooper actually did well again, but then Sam Bell put it in to give a comfortable 2-0 win for Bristol City. It could have been more, but against Sheffield Wednesday, it's just about getting the 3 points, and it should be a banker, especially at home. And that's an important result for Bristol City. They are now sitting 9th place in the Championship. They're now sitting 7th place in the Championship, and that's a good result for them, considering they drew to Oxford United and they lost to Ipswich, and they sit only 1 point behind Wrexham. And the next game I'm on to is Blackburn at home to Watford. For Blackburn, they had only had 1 win in 12 going into this game, and this was set to continue, but it was actually a positive result for Blackburn, getting a draw in this game. Watford definitely started the better, and Kiombe put Watford 1-0 up in this game, and he had an excellent game, I thought, for Watford. And immediately after this goal, Blackburn did equalise through Miller. A good delivery from Cantwell, pretty undeserved based off what we'd seen so far, but Watford just simply didn't take their chances, and they didn't take their chances throughout the game, because Watford definitely could have won this game. There was actually a good chance for Blackburn to win it at the end, Ohashi, and he should have scored really, but it was actually a very good save by Salvik. Frustration this for Watford, not getting the 3 points in this game, and drawing another game after the draw to Portsmouth at home. That leaves them 8th place in the Championship. They would have definitely expected to win that game, and they are still only 1 point off playoffs with a game in hand. So if they win that game in hand, they would go into a playoff position. For Blackburn, that's a valuable point for them at home. They're 21st place in the Championship now, and they're above the relegation zone after that result. Portsmouth do play Southampton though today, and if Portsmouth get anything from that game, they will go above Blackburn once again. The concern for Blackburn will be the fact Portsmouth have 2 games in hand under them in the table in 22nd place. And right now, I actually think Blackburn will go down to League One. I just think right now they're looking likely to go down with how they are playing. They can't put a win together. That is now 13 games with only 1 win, and they've only picked up 2 points in their last 5 games. So then we're on to the next game, and a disappointing result, I would say, for Birmingham, in a game which they would have expected to win at home at St Andrews. It's been a difficult place to go this season, and Stoke also had an injury crisis going into this game. Birmingham had a goal disallowed early in this game, and I'm still unsure why the referee blew his whistle so early, because he blew his whistle before Iwatu actually scored, and he was offside either way, so that allowed the referee to get away with it, whatever it was. But I still can't work out why that goal was disallowed. Let me know in the comments if you know. Iwatu eventually did get his goal from a corner. A ball from Tommy Doyle was delivered deep into the box, and at that post, Stansfield hit it back to Iwatu, and he put the ball into the back of the net from his head. And this gave Birmingham a well-deserved lead at half-time. Stoke just managed to hang in that game, and eventually in the 71st minute they were rewarded for this, and it was a good ball in the box by Cresswell, but it was an own goal by Newman, the Birmingham City man, to put the ball into the back of his own net. And Stoke had another chance through a Cresswell corner once again, and Nzonzi nearly scored. Birmingham had a number of chances to find the winning goal, but they couldn't do this, and they were poor in front of goal in today's game. That's a brilliant point for Stoke if you consider all the injuries they had going into this game. They're 2 points off the playoffs. For Birmingham, they are 5 points off the playoffs, and you'd have to consider this 2 points dropped rather than 1 point gained for them. For Stoke, I would say the opposite. Stoke's form's been alright recently, 2 wins, 2 draws, and a loss recently, though they haven't won in their last 3. For Birmingham, their form's been questionable, as it has, to be honest, all season. Draw, win, loss. So they haven't been a very consistent side so far this season. The next game I want to discuss is between Derby and West Brom. I've actually done a full review for this game already, and a couple of talking points I discussed in that game was, first of all, Derby went with a 4 at the back, and West Brom went with a 5 at the back. Both sides have the ability to go to different systems. West Brom under Eric Ramsey have switched that 5 at the back, though. And it was a poor first half with no side really taking any risks. O'Leary was poor on the Derby goal, and he dropped it right to Adjuman, who put the ball into the back of the net. West Brom's long throws were really dangerous in the final moments of the game. Madger had a massive opportunity to pick up a point for West Brom, but it went out for a corner, and from that corner, Chris Mepham equalised for West Brom to get them a valuable point in this game. Zetterstrom couldn't quite save the Chris Mepham equaliser. Despite the draw, it was a very good week of results for Derby, picking up 7 points and 10 points from their last 5 games. For West Brom, there's some positives to take from this. They've ended that torrid away records of 11 away defeats in a row, but they are still 19th place in the Championship, only 3 points above the relegation zone. Derby are 11th place in the Championship, and they're 2 points away from Wrexham, who are at 6th place in the Championship. A concern for Derby is that they're 20th place in the home form, and that home problems continued in this game, drawing in the final moments. In contrast, their away form's really good, and they're 3rd place on the away table. So finally, we're ending with Leicester at home to Oxford, and I've left this game to the end because it was a massive 3 points for Oxford, going up against a strong Leicester side away from home, and Oxford started the better in this game, and they were the better side. Sam Long scoring from a long throw to give Oxford the opening goal, and it was flicked on by Kieran Brown. And Oxford thought they'd scored from another set piece, but it was given as a foul against them. Mark Harris then rounded the keeper in the second half after Leicester dominated the ball to give Oxford the second goal in the game, which put Oxford 2-0 up away at Leicester. It was only a consolation goal for Leicester, which came through for Tawu. A good finish from him. Leicester were absolutely tragic in this game, and it's such a disappointing result. You have to be beating sides like Oxford at home. Oxford are 23rd in the Championship, and that was after this result. You have to be beating sides like this. Leicester are currently 14th in the Championship, and I think Martin Cifuentes' days are numbered. He's under extreme pressure after that result, and it's not just his fault though. The players are performing so poor for the level that they're actually at. That squad is brilliant, and they continue to underperform week in, week out. Chowdhury, Dekab Dogabarid and Ayew were so poor in today's game, and that's to only name a few, because overall they were terrible. And in contrast, that's the exact result Bloomfield needed. That's now 5 points from a possible 9 as he's taken over as manager. 2 draws and a win, and they've looked solid defensively. And Oxford actually had double the XG in this game, despite having 23% of the ball. That's absolutely ridiculous. And Oxford well and truly deserved to win this game. It's incredible, really, the fact Leicester haven't found a way to win that game, because they are a way better side than Oxford. They've got so much more quality than a side like Oxford. Let me know your thoughts on these Championship games. There are some proper Championship games in today's roundup, and if you enjoyed this video, go subscribe to the channel as well as liking the video.